Cheers, everybody. We are back for another edition of Bourbon on a Budget. It's review time. We're excited to be with you guys again. Before we get started, go hit us up on all of our social medias. We're nearly to 1,000 Twitter followers, so if you're not on Twitter, go make
1,000?
one. Wow. Go make one. Sign up and follow us. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, iTunes, just really anywhere you can find any kind of content. Bourbon on a Budget. Search us, find us, interact with us. We appreciate it. Brendan, tell us a little bit about this bourbon that we're reviewing tonight. I will give you, I would say the floor, but we're all seated, so I will give you the chair.
All right. Well, first off, should we shout out who gave us allowed us to all to sample this?
We should.
Okay. Do you want to do that, or should I?
No,
Tony Montana.
Tony Montana. Tony. No, we have to pay royalties. Nope. Do it. Not gonna catch me.
My good buddy Joe. Joe was gracious enough to meet me last Wednesday on my way up to, my days are all messed up.
Wednesday is a good day of the week.
Wednesday.
Favorite day of the week.
Wednesday. Gracious enough to meet me at a shady gas station to do a little bourbon exchange. I gave him a bottle of New Riff single barrel.
Ooh.
And I didn't even ask for this. I was just trying to drop that off without having to pay USPS or whoever, courier pigeon or whatever, to carry this bottle up there. And he gave us 4 samples. Brendan and I both 4 samples each, and Glencairns each, like one for each of us, to enjoy bourbon while we were both up out of town in Charlotte. That's the good news. The bad news is we didn't try any of it while we were up there. Just busy, really busy week. We went out to dinner. Carrie didn't feel great, so didn't, want to pour bourbon in the hotel room and be drinking all night and being loud, the second night we were up there. So anyway, didn't drink any there, but we're doing an entire review show for you, Joe. So hopefully this will
shout out Joe.
You're welcome, Joe. You're my favorite.
Hopefully this will make up for our failures as friends. Brendan, talk to us about what we're reviewing.
All right. So of the 4 samples Joe gave us, the only one that I had and that I've ever tried is Widow Jane Decadence. So I told TJ, hey, let's try that one. In case you love it, I could send you more samples because I have more going here. But and I think TJ might, because he is a sweet whore. And this Widow Jane Decadence, as the name would imply, is quite sweet and decadent.
That was my nickname in college, sweet whore.
Someone's just like caressing your face. You're like, you sweet whore. So real quick, Widow
not
Jane,
not like a skanky whore, like a sweet whore.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
the good ones.
Sure.
I feel like skanky whore is a little redundant, anyways. Oh yeah, Pretty Women. Never kiss on the mouth. Widow Jane Distillery is based in Brooklyn, New York. It's been around since 2012. What they are doing is a combination of sourcing from unnamed distilleries in Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, and blending their own stuff. And they're doing distillation, obviously. I'm trying to think. Okay, so the cool thing about what they do, or what they say they do, is their water source. If you guys don't know anything about New Yorkers, they're really big on their water. They're like, hey, that's what makes pizza great. That's what makes our bagels great. Is the water? Yeah. So they do water from the Widow Jane mine in Rosendale, which I think is like 100 miles or so north of the city. Goes down and yeah, so they're using water, and that's what they're saying. Our limestone water is awesome. Is it? We're going to tell you. We're going to find out right now. So Decadence, their standard bottling is a 10-year. Decadence basically takes that 10-year and they put it into a maple syrup cask. It is from Crown maple syrup, and it gives it a sweet mapley syrup flavor, allegedly. It's proofed at 91. Yep, proofed at 91. Mash bill not available. Sorry, we don't have that. It's not out there. MSRP is about $80. $80. And as mentioned earlier, this is sourced from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. I don't know how long, fellas, it's aged in the maple syrup barrels either, but at least 10 years old. So, yep, that's what we got here. Widow Jane. Thanks, Joe.
All right, let's jump into it. I'm excited for it. I will say the pizza and the bagels in New York are, they're pretty elite.
They are better than anything else.
Do we think it's from the water? The fact that they've been making, like, you have a bunch of Italian people that have been making pizza for like their entire lives. Like,
100% the water. 100%.
Yeah. All right, it's the water.
Same thing with sourdoughs in San Francisco.
People move down here and make, use the same recipes and not the water. Doesn't Brooklyn Water Bagels, don't they literally ship the water?
Yeah, there was one in Tallahassee. It was good. The coffee was really good, and they said they did that with the same water. I don't know if it's still around though. If not, RIP. They would make coffee ice cubes that they would put in their iced coffee. So when it watered down, it was just more coffee. Good idea.
There's a couple here in Tampa. I see one in Orlando.
All right, that's enough of them unless they sponsor us.
The Tallahassee one did permanently close, and it looks like it was right next to Madso. So maybe Madso. Oh, that's where
it's not a healthy food place now. I'm pretty sure now that I think about where it's located.
Anyway, shout out Bagels Plus. You're in Tampa. Bagels Plus.
Oh my god!
Tampa.
Oh my god!
Do they have BLT dip though? Like, because that's the question. All right, what are you guys smelling on this? Hopefully not BLT dip, but Ben, you're gonna love that Labor Day weekend. Just to let you know.
So on the nose, this is outrageously sweet, like super, 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 super ultra sweet. Very little ethanol on the nose. I think that's just because it's so dense. It looks so oily in the glass too. Like it has like legs for days, right?
Very colorful, like very dark caramel color too.
A Cameron Diaz in the 90s.
Yeah, definitely that. Ton of legs.
I thought you meant the caramel color. Sorry, I had no clue.
Caramel Diaz.
Oh.
So yeah.
Caramel Diaz in the bottle.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. No, too far.
It's almost like they aged this in maple syrup barrels.
This is extremely maple syrup heavy. But if you like maple syrup, which I do, it's good. And sometimes we'll talk about like with weeded bourbons that we will get, especially like the barrel strength ones, maple syrup in a glass, like with Larceny Barrel Proof, Maker's Mark. This is that just
even more, like even more.
But I'm also getting like there's some toasty notes from it for sure. So it's got a little like warmth, milk chocolate, but the maple syrup is, as you would expect, it is dominant. I would say it's like the nose is 90% maple syrup.
And I like the Crown maple syrup anyway. Like that's what I use for my old fashions because it's a bourbon barrel aged maple syrup. So they're just taking a bourbon barrel, filling it with maple syrup, taking maple syrup out, selling that as the Crown, right? And then they're just adding whiskey back to it to like kind of re-bourbon the bourbon barrel and then age it in that. So
what if the Crown people buy that back from there
and then double aged?
Ben, real quick, TJ wants you to get closer to the mic when you talk. There, I just said it. That was
sorry.
Now everyone knows. They heard
I had my phone. Thank you.
Yeah. TJ, you're
I sent like 3 messages and Ben just wasn't reading any of them.
That's okay.
I like the nose. I mean, I like the nose for sure. I mean, yeah, it's super sweet. It's definitely like the maple takes over everything. But I mean, who doesn't like sweet things? Like we like the way flowers smell because they're sweet. I like the smell of maple syrup. I mean, that's really all you're getting. It's not very complex.
That's all. That is all you're getting.
Ton of maple. Yeah, I can't find anything else, but I like it. It's good. I think, right? Yeah, it's very one-dimensional, but good.
We usually save like for the end of the reviews, like who would we recommend it? Who would like this? This would be someone who is still pretty new into bourbon. I think would absolutely adore it and love it because it's accessible and it's very, very sweet. So if you're like trying to get through, like Ben said, there's no ethanol note, right? This is pretty sweet and accessible all the way through. So I think someone like relatively new would fall in love with this, and this would be a good first step. God, look at the legs on this though.
I'm telling you, man, just hangs in the glass.
So, all right, let's taste it. We've all been kind of tasting it, all been nosing it. What do we like about the taste? What do we dislike about the taste? Where are we on it? Ben, you're the one that hates finished stuff. You go first.
I know, man. It's so sweet. It is outrageously sweet. And the first drink I had of this about 10 minutes ago, I thought to myself, man, this isn't that bad. It was also the first drink of bourbon I had that night. And then I sat with it for like a couple minutes. I remember thinking to myself, man, this is going to be, by the time you get to the bottom of the glass, it's very heavy. So it drinks very heavy. And that's just because of the viscosity of it. But definitely very sweet, very mapley. It's hard for me to pick out any like citrus or spice or anything like that. It is all sugar, a lot of sugar, not a honey sugar, like just straight caramel.
Yeah, it tastes amazing. I could pour this over my pancakes and be thrilled. It'd be fantastic.
Right. That's maple syrup though.
You can make
a cocktail.
This isn't a cocktail. It's just straight bourbon. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's very sweet. Yeah, not a lot of spice in it. Did we talk about the mash bill? Was it disclosed or was it?
It was not disclosed, and since it's blended with probably 3 different types of whiskeys at least, yeah, and 4, I guess if they're adding their own stuff, it's gonna be tough.
Very, very low rye in it, not a ton of spice, but I mean, yeah, like Brendan said, this is a really good bourbon for somebody like jumping into bourbon. Just like I think Woodford Double Oaked is, just like I think that, some wheated stuff might be, because it tends to be a little bit sweeter, a little easier to drink. You could make an old fashioned with this without having to put syrup in it. You could just make this with the old fashioned, a little bit of bitters, a cherry, and some ice, and be in good shape. If you just needed that extra little touch of sugar just to say you did, fine, but you'd need to put very, very little in. But yeah, I mean, it's again pretty one-dimensional. I like the viscosity. I like the mouthfeel. It does feel like the maple syrup has thickened it up some. I don't have the regular 10-year to just kind of compare, but in having it in the past, that's kind of how my mind remembers it. So I do like that. I like the chewier mouthfeel, viscosity, whatever.
Mouthfeel.
The heaviness of it. But yeah, Brendan, what are your thoughts?
I'm with you guys. I don't have a whole lot more to add. I will say I get like a little bit of peppery note, a little dash of pepper there. And if I am remembering the Widow Jane, which I got like pretty early on when I was getting into bourbon, someone at a store recommended me. I liked it, just not quite for the price, if I recall. About 60 was a little steep for it, but it was good quality. But I remember cherry. I was the first time I was able to say like, oh, I can get the cherry note on this, and looked up reviews and saw it was cherry. So I remember it being very cherry heavy, and I'm not getting a ton of fruit on this, just again, mostly maple syrup.
No. Finish. How's it finish, Ben? We'll start with you again.
So I think this is actually an interesting finish, not because it is complex, but it's because it's a super long finish. And it's just because it's hard to swallow it, right? I mean, it's just maple syrup. So here's what I'll say about it though. You talk about like some of the longer finishes of like a high proof older bottle and the chewiness of it. You get that in this, maple syrup aged bottle at 93 proof. So if you, I guess, are trying to mirror some of that finish that something, of a higher proof would be, this almost kind of feels like you're drinking it just to the heaviness. So I'm not super put off by the finish. I just think it makes sense why it finishes so long and hard. So yeah, we'll see.
Oh boy, phrasing there.
Ben said long and hard. I think we all need to just kind of.
Tell me this thing just sits.
I think it's an amazing finish. I love the finish on this. It does last a really long time, to Ben's point.
Yeah.
Long and hard, but it is sweet for sure. But it has a little bit of pepperiness in it. I will say that for something that's only 91 proof, the finish on it is pretty intense. It's a great finish. It'll beat
any other 91 proof bottle.
Yeah, I love the finish, and I think that might be the best part of the drink, in my opinion. And not just because it's finished and I don't like it. Ha ha ha. No, it's everything else is solid. This is just a nice finish. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, Ben is not a fan of things that are finished. We've not reviewed a lot of things that are finished, but for lack of better words, no pun intended, all those things. I'd like to know how other things that are finished finish, right? Like do other things finish better because of that? And I wish we had a different word for it, because I feel like I'm being repetitive, and hopefully people can kind of follow along with finished. It's like when you use that twice in a sentence in a row, like,
Did you know my dad's Finnish? Natively?
That's irrelevant. So anyway, shout out to the Finns. It's not the Dolphins. Like,
what
the actual
language do Finnish people speak?
Finn.
No, really?
I have no idea.
What's their favorite type of animal?
Dolphins.
All right.
Boy, that
the jokes on this podcast are terrible.
We haven't even been drinking beforehand. This is a pretty stone cold sober episode right now.
I'm embarrassed by you guys' jokes. So anyway, all right, let's rate it. Let's run through the rating. We've taken up like a good 15 minutes talking about this. So let's fly through our ratings. You can give a little description, but for those at home, for those just now tuning in, for those that tune in because Joe sent you our way, we apologize. Nose 2, taste 4, finish 1, cohesiveness and complexity 1, and then value 2 comes up with a total score of 10. We try to put things on the big board. I don't know if this is going to make it or not because I know Ben's going to lowball it everywhere. But nose, 2 points. Ben, you go first.
1 1/4.
That's not bad. That's above average.
I mean, it's sweet. I mean, it's easy to smell.
Definitely easy to smell. Things that don't smell good are easy to smell as well. Brendan.
I learned that with the COVID smells coming back. The best smelling things and the worst smelling things were the first ones. Everything in between came back after. Oh, we're supposed to go quickly. 1.25 for me as well. It is certainly above average. It's pleasant. It's pretty. It's nice. 1.25.
I'm going 1.5. I think it's just a little bit better than you guys are giving it credit for, but I like sweeter things, so it makes sense. Taste, Brendan.
I gave it a 2. It does a few things, primarily maple syrup, like really, really great. But then there's not a whole lot else to it other than that. If you like maple syrup, if you like sweet, you will love this and probably give it more points. For me, average taste experience that I'm having here. Ben?
Yeah, I agree. 2. I was going to say 2, and I thought I was going to be by myself, but
Copycat.
Dang it.
I'll go slightly above average here. I'll go 2.25. I like the nose more than I like the taste. I mean, it's a lot of just sweetness, but it is very one-dimensional. Actually, you know what? I'll go 2.5. I like the viscosity as well. I'll go 2.5. So give it a little bit of a break there. I think it's above average, but again, it's also my preference. I could see where people didn't love this. Finish. I'll go 0.75 here. I'll go first and let you guys rattle it off afterwards. I think, again, above average to me. So not a lot of room to go anywhere but 0.75. Ben?
Yeah, 0.75. I think it's above average. It sits.
Yeah. It finishes better than most things that are 91 proof, right? So I'll give it that. Brendan?
I'm gonna go with a 1. It's a pretty amazing, exquisite finish. It is. I would love to do a barrel strength version of this. I think that would take it to another level. It would be really interesting to see how proofed up, more alcohol would do with the maple syrup. But no, I think it's a great finish. It's friendly, it's sweet, a little spicy at the end, and then it lingers for a very long period of time. So yeah, it's pretty great.
Cohesiveness and complexity. Ben.
0.25. This is
What got it to 0.25 for you?
So the same way that a screwball would be cohesively peanut butter, but it doesn't deserve 0.5 points because it's just peanut butter. So 0.25.
Okay. I'll give it the 0.5. I'll say that it is cohesive, not very complex, but it does check that box for me. So I'll give it a 0.5. Brendan?
I'm going to go with 0.5 because it is extremely cohesive, if nothing else, right? Even if you don't like it, you could say it tastes the same as it smells and finishes all kind of the maple syrup. But Ben doesn't go by the half a point rule that TJ and I typically go by. He lives by his own rules, which is why Ben's amazing.
That's right.
All right. That brings our totals through the first 8 points to Ben with a 4.25, Brendan with a 4.75, and myself with a 5.25, all within one. A lot of variance, though, up and down the board. Value. What's the cost? What's the availability? Proof is 91. Where are we talking about with value, Brendan? A couple of those pointers?
Yeah, so a reminder, it is $80 per bottle. $80. Availability, and this actually makes it worse, typically. Hard to find in person. I don't know if I've actually seen it in person. You pretty much have to go online to purchase it. So factor in shipping as well. You're probably spending $100 on this bottle of bourbon. I don't want to give it a 0 because it is good quality.
Yes.
I'll put it this way. I bought a bottle. I like the bottle. I will never buy the bottle again.
How long ago did you buy it?
About a year ago.
How full is it?
Pretty full. Not all of it. I don't hate it. Like, it's just, and it's one of the reasons, what stops me? I would drink it a lot more, but I know it's an $80 bottle, so I don't want to like guzzle through it too.
Yeah,
so there's kind of the dilemma of the prices. I like it. I don't love it. God. Shoot.
Yes.
0. I just can't.
Zero.
I just can't. I just can't judge. I will never buy another bottle of it again. I don't know under what circumstance. It should be like a $45, $50 bottle. It's almost twice as much as it should be. I can't.
the only other zero.
Sorry, Joe. I love you.
The only other zero in history was the red breast cask strength that Ben gave a 0. We have never even had another 0.25. Like
And
I know.
And the cask strength of red breast we all really liked, and it's about the same price. So, but with that logic, Ben's gonna have to go with a 0 here too. I think if he was trying to be consistent.
I was gonna go with 0.5 or 0.25, but I think 0.5 is probably so. If in my head there are some buyers for this, not me, but the problem is the sell is going to be okay. Someone looking to get into bourbon, right? Who wants to spend $80 or $90 trying to get into bourbon? That's very sweet bourbon. That's a hard sell in itself. So are some people going to buy it? Brendan.
Are they going to buy it again?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going 0.25. 0.25. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see giving this a 0. I think that there is value there, but it's not. I mean, listen, I gave this a 5.25 out of 8. So I was kind of high on it and I liked it. I think it's pricey for me liking it.
Yeah.
You can get similar things for a little bit cheaper of a price. But I do think there is value there. Is it the greatest value? No. So I'll go 0.5 on this one. Bringing our total score. I can't believe we went with a 0.
I know, man. This bottle has no value. Yeah. Complete garbage.
It's just so one-dimensional and it's expensive. And I think if you see this at a bar, you should get it and try it. And you might really love it if it's down your alley, but it's such a narrow niche there.
So final scores here, Ben with a 4.5, Brendan with a 4.75, and then myself with a 5.75. Composite there is 5 overall. So we are saying that on the composite,
completely average.
Completely average.
Ooh, TJ, great. Before we get out of here, though, dun dun dun, another challenger approaches. Not only do we have one Widow Jane to try tonight, dun dun dun, we had another listener submitted Widow Jane. How about Widow Jane, lucky number 13, age 13 years? How about an extra 3 years and no syrup finished barrel? I sent you guys a little bit of this, and we're going to do a little back-to-back, not a review. We're just going to put them straight up against each other. Straight up, try one, try the other, and then figure out which one you like better.
All right, so we got the Widow. Hey, if they go head-to-head and then one of them, they're going to be one, right? It's Mortal Kombat? All right.
Yeah.
So is it like double Widow Jane then? Like if they kill, you know what I mean?
This is like when you get to the top of the mountain, and there's the person with 4 arms, Oh,
that guy.
If you were really into Mortal Kombat, you would know.
No, Johnny Cage punched him in the balls in the movie because he broke his sunglasses.
There's no movie. Don't worry about the movie. It doesn't exist.
No, there's 2 movies actually.
I know they're useless.
The nose on this, compared to what we just went through, is so rye heavy, and I don't think it's a rye heavy mash bill.
I don't think it is either. But it's the same mash bill. It's the same mash bill. Just 13 years. And
not aged in maple syrup cask. I mean, it's a nice nose. Just what we're coming off of is difficult.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Jake. He's the one that sent us in. If you have a bottle that you like us to review, go ahead and send us one.
We will take it.
Yeah.
Ooh. Taste is super lemon zest, and I get cherry and oakiness. God, it's so tough going off of one than the other. What do we get? Apple. See, apple.
Combine them until you do that. All right, TJ, what do you got? You tried both of them yet?
Yeah, I do like that. I do like this other one a ton. It's really, really good. I think I probably prefer the sweeter one to it, but that's just my preference. This 13 year is really, really good. Let me try them both again.
This is good quality. I'm trying to look at the price of this is about $120 to $165.
Right. So this was like a distillery pick. He went up, my buddy went up to New York and like got this, I guess, from the Northeast. So I think
proof,
it's hard to find outside.
Proof on it on the 13-year.
Proof is 93, so very similar in proof.
So about the same there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, this is more complex. This has more going on. I do like this a lot. I like sweeter stuff too. I don't know. It's probably a push to me. I don't know that one's way better than the other. I like a lot of things about both of them. If I had to pick one, I don't know. Because if I was giving a value to this, I wouldn't give it a very high value either, because it's like not like I could ever get it again. So I mean, it's tough.
True.
And it's really expensive for a 13-year.
It is more expensive. And it doesn't bring. It's just a little more complex, and I like the sweeter stuff. So I probably give the slight edge to the Decadence, but they're not very far off when you consider in price and availability and things like that. Straight preference is definitely what kind of mood I'm in. Everyday drinker, I'll say, is a 13-year. After,
if you're gonna everyday drink $130 bottle,
I'm not Brendan, but if I was, that would be what I did. But for a nice dessert type,
Widow Jane does a good job.
Finisher,
right?
Yeah,
I think everything they do is good quality. It's just a little expensive, but
it's a bit expensive.
You start getting into the blending game, and you're paying for other people to make stuff, and then you're rebottling it, and
Yeah, I'm going 13 for me. 13's way better. It's way more expensive, but way better. Way better. I don't think it could outscore, even if I give it a 0. I mean, I give it a 0.25. All I gotta do is do 0.25 better in the rest of the scale, right? We're fine.
The combination of the two, the hybrid I just did, exquisite. That's where it's at.
You love blending. You Ari, but you love blending. Okay, we've been on here for those that have been with us since day one. You'll understand that joke. We've been on here for almost 30 minutes. Let's get out of here and let's get out of this review and let's go do some other things that are not talking to a camera. But for myself, TJ Pinger, Ben Cock, and Brendan Sinone, this is Bourbon on a Budget. Cheers.
Shout out Joe. Shout out Joe and Ben's friend.
And Jake.
Remember his name. Jay and Jake.
And Jake.
The Joe and Jake show. All right, now for real.
Cheers. The Jake and Joe.
Bye. Bye. Bye.